Sowing, growing and planting out are absolutely the main event at this time of year, but one thing we cannot forget are our growing structures. When it comes to planting out our squashes and our pumpkins, they are of course viners and they love to spread across the ground. However, we can also be saving a bit more space and growing vertically. So a few years ago, I created my squashes arch using an old polytunnel frame, which was just going spare. The cover had broken, and I decided that this would be perfect because if we think about the weight of our squashes and pumpkins, we need something that's going to be pretty sturdy. Now, I was really lucky that I had an awful lot of this wire mesh that I was able to attach to this polytunnel frame, and using these plastic ties, I know plastic, but they have been on here for a few years, they have been able to hold this into place really, really well. Now, if we're thinking about growing frugally, obviously being able to get hold of an old polytunnel frame, which actually quite frankly is usually pretty easy because the covers don't last that long. I'm going to be doing the same on the community plot. However, I haven't got any of this wire mesh, so I'm going to have to do something a little bit different, which again is thinking about that growing frugally so that I can actually maintain the community plot and the squashes that I'm going to be putting out there as well. So what am I going to do? Let's go find out. So I'm very lucky to have this quite gorgeous polytunnel frame. It's a little bit ratty in places, but the actual structure itself is really sturdy. And what I really love about this is it does actually have a latch door on it, which could have been really useful when I was putting together the brassicas cage, because I really wanted to have that latch door on there. But this is going to be the polytunnel frame for our squashes. Now, what I do have on my bean house at the moment is I have used the jute twine in order to sort of tie the canes onto it. Now, that's great. However, what I've noticed is that the birds, because they are nesting at this time of year, do like this and they keep pinching it off. So I am going to use the cable ties on this one, not only because the birds keep on pinching the jute twine, but also they are a lot more sturdy, and we are looking at having a frame which is going to be taking a lot more weight. So this frame is 3 meters in length, and unfortunately you can't buy canes which are exactly that length. They're sort of around 280 centimeters, or they're about 160 centimeters in length. So I've actually bought a packet of 20 which are the 160 in length, which means I'm going to just have to put 2 of these canes in the length of the polytunnel frame itself. Now, it does also mean that there's going to be fundamentally a bit of a gap between the actual canes as they're going horizontally on this frame, but that's fine because I'm just again going to maybe get some shorter canes in between just to attach those so that they are going to be really, really safe and secure, because I don't want these to be actually moving. Now, when we're using our cable ties, you have to remember that the teeth go on the inside, otherwise you're going to frustrate yourself and you're going to be all over the place with this one. So I'm just going to take the one in the middle so that I can actually attach that one, and that's going to help to sort of balance out the cane on either end, and then just making sure that they are joining more or less together. The main thing is that the actual vertical parts of the frame are going to be sort of level with each other, so just going to do that on either end. What I may need to do as well, if we think about how we sort of tie knots when we are looking at using jute, we do sort of that crossover, so I may need to use some extra ones of these cable ties just so I have that crossing over. So this is 2 meters wide, which means that I'm going to do sort of 5 horizontal bars. I've actually got the bar of the polytunnel frame itself here, and I've got the bar of the polytunnel frame at the top. So almost we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on one side and then 5 on the other. So that's going to be absolutely perfect. Now, obviously there are going to be gaps in between, but as our pumpkins and squashes start to vine up this, they will catch on to these. Now, what we've also put in here already are some of the French beans, the tall climbing ones that I have for my bean house, because they can quite happily join in with our pumpkins and squashes in their climbing and vining. And in the middle, because we do not want to waste any space, this is where the sweet corn for the community plot is actually going to go. So just a bit more to do on these, and then this is going to be ready for the pumpkins and squashes to be planted out, to vine away and climb, and they're not only going to look beautiful, but we should also have a really good harvest with it as well.